And yet, the problem for many of us is that we find ourselves reenacting the dysfunctional dynamics of our childhood and the traumas that we experienced in the earlier parts of our life. You see, these early formative experiences, they can have an enormous impact on our emotional states, the way we see ourselves, how we form attachments. They also influence the kinds of people that we're drawn to, that we attract to us, and the kinds of relationships that we establish. We may possess some awareness, and yet many of us are largely unconscious of the way we reenact these traumas and conflicts and dysfunctional dynamics that we've internalized, and our familiarity with these patterns, even if negative, can make them seem strangely comforting or at least predictable to those of us who lack the resources or the understanding needed to heal these wounded parts of ourselves. For instance, if we grew up with an emotionally unavailable parent, we're more likely to find ourselves drawn to partners who are themselves emotionally distant or otherwise unavailable. And for many of us, that's what feels normal or familiar. The trauma and the highly charged emotions held within our bodies, along with the ongoing drama that we're generating from our ongoing reenactments, create emotional blind spots. And that prevents us from seeing how our actions and our choices are influenced by the trauma and the dysfunction of our past. You see, our early experiences create configurations within us. It's like an imprint of the actual experience and other elements of our environment. Also includes our thought processes, our emotional responses, how our mind interprets these events, and the workings of our neurology. These childhood experiences and the family dynamics, what happens is they leave these lasting impressions that profoundly shape our adult relationships. These configurations impact us in a number of key ways. For instance, it shapes our expectations and beliefs about relationships. It influences our patterns of attachment and emotional responses. It drives our subconscious reenactment of these unresolved traumas. It also creates habitual behaviors and defense mechanisms that we carry into adulthood. As children, we learn by observing the interactions of those around us, especially our parents or our primary caregivers. So if we experienced or witnessed consistent or even intermittent conflict, neglect, alcoholism, and other forms of chemical dependency, emotional volatility, physical violence, we may come to see these behaviors as normal or inevitable in relationships.